Dinosaur Adventure Land in Lenox, Alabama at Genesis Baptist Church, where God gets the glory for his creation. I am honored tonight to have my friend Patrick Yurish on to tell us more about the Bible and health. God designed man out of the dust of the ground, and there's plants that are able to go into the dust of the ground and draw out minerals that your body needs. Your car needs lots of things to run. Some things it uses, like oil, doesn't use it up, but it uses it. Transmission fluid, differential fluid. Other things it uses up, like air and gasoline. So your body needs a lot of things. God said in Genesis chapter 1, Adam, eat the fruit, the vegetables, and the seeds. And I've long been a believer that God provided everything in the plants and animals that we can eat, that our body needs to stay healthy. So, Patrick, you've been doing this. You took over Bill Sardi's mantle. Thank you so much. Bill Sardi was one of our trustees, longtime friend of mine. And Patrick, there's your contact info on the screen. So tell us about your ministry, Patrick, and what you're trying to accomplish here. And if people got a health, I do have to tell you, Patrick, you told me for my mini stroke TIA, I could just feel one coming on once in a while. You said take cayenne.
Yeah.
I've only taken 3 tablets so far in the last 2 days, and I'm telling you, I feel great. I don't ever eat peppers on anything. I don't even put salt and pepper on my food, just salt, okay? I just don't like pepper. But this stuff, whatever's in it, is working. So thank you, brother. Thank you. Go ahead, tell us.
Absolutely. Hello. My name is Patrick Yurish. I'm an integrative health practitioner, IHP, and I've been studying health and nutraceutical information, supplement protocols for a very long time now. And one of my biggest inspirations is a man by the name of Bill Sardi. He was an investigative health journalist. I found out about him and his work through Dr. Hovind here, and I just delved into all his work, all his websites, knowledgeofhealth.com, resveratrolnews.com, just immerse myself in the advice that he gave, and now I'm trying to disseminate it and get it out there to the people. We don't always need to run to chemical prescription drugs for our problems. Our headaches are not caused from a lack of aspirin. Our high blood pressure is not a lack of drugs. We could use natural supplements. We could use stuff that God provided on the earth for our ailments and our maladies. So that's what I'm trying to get out to the people, help them out, help them kind of lower their amount of prescription drug pill bottles on their counter and help them feel healthier and live longer. So that's pretty much my work currently, and I'm taking questions, I take calls, I take any emails. I just trying to get the advice that Bill Sardi and other health professionals taught me and showed me out to the public.
Amen. What's the most common type of health issue that people have in America, let's say, that is easily fixed by a vitamin or mineral or, something you can eat?
Right. So I would say one very, very, very common problem that we see pretty much almost unavoidable today is osteopenia or osteoporosis among women. They get it quite often, almost all the time. And I will say this is probably one of the biggest tragedies within the medical establishment. I would like to say, too, that this is not medical advice, of course. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an integrative health practitioner, so this information isn't to cure, prevent, diagnose, treat, mitigate disease. Doctors could say that, even though supplements could do that. I can't say that. So osteoporosis, I would say, is one huge thing that is happening quite frequently today, being diagnosed, and they give you calcium for it. They always give you calcium for all this osteoporosis. As soon as a woman hits menopause, they have osteoporosis, osteopenia. Take calcium. And the thing is, that is the total wrong direction. If you're listening, please don't take calcium. You were fine on calcium all your life. For all the women listening, you were always fine on calcium. Now, all of a sudden, you just don't have enough calcium. So the problem is not calcium, it's you're not holding it in your bones anymore. So I think this is one of the biggest treacherous advice in the medical establishment, because they're actually causing heart attacks. When you're taking calcium pills postmenopausal, that calcium is not going to your bones. It's being leached into your blood vessels, sitting like a statue, and now you're increasing your chances of a calcification heart attack tremendously. So you don't need calcium. You need a plant estrogen or a phytoestrogen. It mimics estrogen in the body, and estrogen is what sends the signal to hold calcium in your bones. You need resveratrol. So resveratrol is a mild phytoestrogen. It'll send the signal to hold calcium in your bones once again. It actually will help rebuild bone. So how's that for, kind of going against the common train of thought here, which we don't need calcium. Women get all the calcium from your diet, get it from your food. please don't take pills for it. Get resveratrol. It's a totally natural supplement, and it sends the old calcium in your bones once again. And I guess on a side note too, and I will get into it a little more, is sudden death heart attacks. Very, very prevalent thing, happens so often in America, and it is pretty much 100% avoidable. To just the sudden death electrical shock heart attack where you just drop down and die, that is avoidable. And I'll further explain how that's 100% avoidable, where you could avoid a heart attack, a sudden death attack from dropping down and dying away. So we will get into that as well.
All right. You mentioned resveratrol. What is that found in? Where do you get that stuff?
Yep. So it's found in peanuts. It's found in grapes. It's found in a very invasive species of plant in North America called Japanese knotweed. It's found in the roots predominantly. That's where pretty much all of it comes from in our supplements, Japanese knotweed root. So it's found in a lot of things in nature, but the thing is, it's not really in that high of concentrations within these things. That's why it's best to have an extract from Japanese knotweed root. You could buy a big bulk bag of the powder. You could buy the pills and take it from there. You're not really going to get a whole lot from peanuts or grapes. You will get some. Blueberries actually have a form of resveratrol called pterostilbene in it, which is very, very healthy too. So blueberries have a form of resveratrol, peanuts, grapes, Japanese knotweed root, an invasive species. It grows along highways. It looks like bamboo. All these things contain resveratrol, but you could really get the most health benefits and bang for your buck from just a cheap bulk powder or a cheap economic pill you could buy on Amazon. That's usually your best move, although you could get it from other sources like grapes or blueberries, which is a form of resveratrol in blueberries.
Yeah. I find myself craving certain foods. I think my body's trying to tell me what I need, like blueberries. Once in a while, I got to have blueberries. Is that just normal, natural? Your body says, you need this, go get it,
I believe so. I mean, same thing with salt. Salt, a lot of people crave salt sometimes, and please, it is the wrong direction to tell people to avoid salt. We see the World Health Organization quite often come out with lower salt, lower salt, lower salt, lower salt. That's usually their main piece of health advice, and that is the wrong direction. Jesus said salt is good. So I believe salt is not the culprit behind these high blood pressure. Actually, salt is an electrolyte, and salt is needed for your heart to pump to have it pump in a functional state. So if you don't have enough salt, you're actually going to suffer from something called hyponatremia, where you just deplete that electrolyte, sodium chloride, from your body, and it's not good. So people crave salt. People crave different fruits. During pregnancy, people have cravings. And sometimes different cravings will actually tell you need different things. So, for example, younger women will often crave ice if they're anemic. So when a woman is low on iron, you'll see actually quite frequently they'll crave ice, and that usually is indicative of they need iron. They're actually
There's no iron. There's no iron in ice.
I know there's no iron in ice. It's very interesting why this craving comes about. But it is indicative usually of iron shortage in their bodies. Usually among women first experiencing their cycle, they might start craving ice. There's no iron in it, but in that case, you would need more red meat or vitamin C to help the absorption of iron.
All right, here's a bottle of Transresveratrol. Why would they put the trans in front of it?
So no need to worry about the Transresveratrol. It's not anything to do with the alphabet gang.
Okay.
Yeah. Transresveratrol is the more absorbable, more bioactive form of resveratrol, and that's found in Japanese knotweed root. So the resveratrol found in other sources will just be plain resveratrol, but the resveratrol found within Japanese knotweed root is what's called transresveratrol, and that's a lot more absorbable, bioavailable within the body. So it doesn't need to go through any, detoxification process. It could pretty much be absorbed readily within the body. It's totally natural. No need to worry about it. It's totally from Japanese knotweed root, but this form is called transresveratrol. Nothing to do with
If a person takes too much of any vitamin,
yeah,
you can take too much of a drug, no question, and all kinds of bad things happen. But what happens if you take too much, more than your body needs, of cayenne, for instance, or vitamin C?
Yep.
Does it kill you?
So actually, that is a good question, and a lot of supplements you can take too much of, but a lot you can. So vitamin C, the herbs you really can't. Vitamin C, there's no toxicity with it. You can take as much as you would like. There's never been any harmful effects of too much vitamin C with any age. But I will say there is the main thing you have to worry about is the class of supplements called polyphenols. This is your curcumin, your resveratrol, your quercetin, your catechin. You'll see all the different supplements. They're all polyphenols. And these ones you don't want to take a lot of. Vitamin C, it's fine. You can take a lot of that. Cayenne pepper, you could take. There's no really overdose on that. But mainly, generally speaking, resveratrol, take it as directed on the bottle. Take maybe for younger people, I usually recommend even 200 to 250 milligrams. So if you have a 500 milligram pill, then even break it in half or take the capsule apart, pour half of it in a drink, and you'll save on money that way too. And then pour out the other half in the drink the next day. So mainly, most supplements they're fine, but the polyphenols, resveratrol, quercetin, curcumin from turmeric, these are the ones you usually want to take as directed on the bottle, or even maybe a little lower. But vitamin C, the herbs, vitamin D, there's no known toxicity with these vitamins and herbs.
Okay, I've had several people call me, and I've asked them to call you. I'm hoping to have in the last week. Grandma is dying of cancer.
Mhm.
What do you tell them?
Yeah, so I thank you so much. I do get calls all the time now, emails constantly. I really, really appreciate it. And cancer is one of the ones that is actually pretty easily advice I give. Bill Sardi had an over 300-page book on cancer called "We Don't Have to Be Afraid of Cancer Anymore." He had another ebook called "We Already Know How to Cure Cancer." And it's not if I'm not going to say you could cure it. I can't use that term, but it's my advice is usually pretty simple. First thing, you have to cut out the sugar. For anyone listening right now with any cancer whatsoever, it doesn't.
Oh, you froze up there, brother. Oh, he's cut up. Well, he fixes his technical problem. You back there, brother?
Hello, hello.
Okay, you said for cancer, cut out sugar.
Cut out the sugar. That is the first thing I would recommend to anyone dealing with any cancer. Please cut out the sugar. Sugar or cancer voraciously feeds off of sugar. It's a fact. And if you keep eating sugar and a bunch of carbohydrates, which turn into sugar, you're going to be feeding that cancer. So, grandma has cancer. Please stop eating sugar. You can go on something called a ketogenic diet. It cuts out sugar and carbs and focuses more on vegetables and protein and fat. It's good. It's great. It's perfect. You're not feeding the cancer. Next thing I'd recommend is just another simple diet change is you're gonna want to limit your red meat. Red meat is helpful, it's good for you, but with cancer, a major growth factor of cancer is iron. It feeds off of iron, and red meat has a lot of highly absorbable iron. So if you're eating red meat, if you're eating a ton of sugar, you're feeding that cancer. So the first thing is cut out all the sugar and carbs. You can't be having the candy and the junk food and cut out the red meat. The iron in that red meat is a huge growth factor for your cancer. So these two things I would really recommend people cut out. And then the one last thing I would recommend after cutting out the sugar, cutting out the red meat, is this huge supplement that Bill started talking about constantly that seems like no other naturopathics are talking about is something called IP6, inositol hexaphosphate. So a totally natural molecule. One molecule of inositol, six phosphorus molecules. It's an extract from rice bran cereal. It's extracted from that. It contains no carbs. You don't have to worry about that. But this is the king of chelators. It chelates or binds, attaches to excess iron, copper, and calcium within your body and takes it out. Also, heavy metals, too, it takes it out as well. And a major growth factor, like I said, is free iron of cancer cells. We need iron, but cancer cells feed off of it. So, with diet change and IP6, Bill Sardi has actually, I believe, helped reverse stage 4 cancers. So cut out the sugar and carbs, get rid of the red meat, the iron, and take IP6. You take 1,500, 1,600 milligrams every single day on an empty stomach until you have no more cancer. And it's. I'm not saying it works all the time. I'm not saying it's a cure, but it's amazing, amazing for cancer. Now, there's other things you could do as well for cancer, of course. There's so many things. But to start, please cut out the sugar. Please cut out the red meat. And start taking IP6. You could find it anywhere, any health food store, on Amazon. It's pretty ubiquitous, and it's very, very good for cancer. And I think one last thing, if I could add, there's a lot, like I said, for cancer. But if anyone is struggling with any cancers, is vitamin C. You can't buy the pills for this. You're going to need a lot more than the pills. But vitamin C, contact me. I can show you where you can get a bulk bag of this. But you're going to want to take about 5,000 milligrams, about a teaspoon, or maybe a heaping teaspoon of vitamin C every 3 hours. They'll start recommended 3,000 milligrams every 3 hours. There's no overdose. You can just take a teaspoon every 3 hours of vitamin C. And what this does is actually absolutely miraculous in your body. When you take a lot of vitamin C, everyone knows vitamin C as an antioxidant. As soon as they hear vitamin C, antioxidant, everyone knows it as such. But when you take too much vitamin C, it becomes a pro-oxidant within your body. It becomes pro-oxidative. It starts oxidizing and killing things. Now, not your healthy cells, though. Vitamin C in no known dosage will ever hurt any healthy cell within your body whatsoever. Now, what happens is when you take too much vitamin C, pretty much, generally speaking, 20,000 milligrams plus per day, just spread it out, you're going to start to create through something called, through a mechanism called Fenton reactions, you will create hydrogen peroxide. So what happens is when vitamin C in high concentrations comes in contact with cells that have a lot of free iron, such as cancer cells, they will produce through a mechanism called Fenton reactions, Fenton reactions, hydrogen peroxide. And this is deadly for the cancer cells. Now, the reason for this being is within our body, we have an enzyme called catalase. It's produced. It's a one of several enzymes: glutathione, superoxide dismutase, heme oxygenase, catalase. It's an enzyme within our body, and what happens is it helps break down hydrogen peroxide to water and oxygen. Totally harmless substances. Now, cancer cells lack catalase, so you take a bunch of vitamin C, heaping teaspoon every 3 hours. If you have cancer, it comes in contact with the sites that have a lot of free iron, like cancer sites. Hydrogen peroxide is produced at the cancer site, and it has nothing to handle the hydrogen peroxide catalase. And apoptosis or apoptosis, which is self-destruction of the cancer cell, is initiated. This is called selective toxicity. This is what G. Edward Griffin talked about with apricot seeds. It's the same. It's a similar mechanism. Now, obviously, it's not hydrogen peroxide within apricot seeds. It's cyanide benzaldehyde, which is being released, but it's still known as selective toxicity, where these substances are totally inert to our body, but they're totally deadly to harmful cells.
God said, if you'll carefully obey my words, you'll have no diseases. Interesting promise. Huh. Yeah, I think that's something we should look at. Exodus chapter 15, verse 26. Okay, it's wintertime. People are going to be getting wintertime colds and stuff. What do you recommend for that, brother? Oh, I think he froze up again, brother.
I lost connection again there. I'm not sure what's happening.
Maybe it's cold up there. You froze up. Okay.
I guess so.
Pennsylvania. So people, I taught school 15 years. In wintertime, you always have kids coming in saying, I was sick with a cold. Yep. How do you prevent getting colds?
Yeah, colds are, they happen all the time, and they always say there's no cure for the common cold. We can't cure the common cold. Well, maybe we can't cure the common cold, but one thing that helps tremendously with the common cold that Bill Starry talked about a lot is zinc lozenges. They're absolutely phenomenal for the common cold. Now, there's many, many, many different forms of zinc on the market. Zinc citrate, zinc picolinate. The form you want to look for is called zinc acetate. Bill Sardi used to make a formulation. It may still be available, but if you could find it in the grocery store, if you could find it online, zinc acetate. If you can't, no big deal at all. But zinc lozenges are tremendous for the common cold. All you do is you find even if it's in a capsule, doesn't matter. Take the zinc pill, take the zinc lozenges, take the zinc tablet, put it under your tongue. That's all you do. Put it under your tongue and let it dissolve. If you're an adult, 15 to 30 milligrams. If you're a child, I would say probably 7.5 milligrams. And if you're maybe 15, 16, 17, 18, 15 milligrams, put it under your tongue. Don't swallow it. Put it under your tongue. Let it dissolve under your tongue. And it's amazing, amazing for the common cold. Um, Another thing that I like to recommend for coronaviruses, because the reality is, they always come up with these millions of mutations, millions of variants of coronaviruses. If you look up coronavirus in, a 1980s medical textbook, it's going to tell you common cold. So coronaviruses, or any viruses for that matter, replicate off of arginine. When you have too much arginine within your body, you're going to increase the chances of viral replication. If you have too much chocolate and nuts and you are susceptible to cold sores, you're going to probably get a cold sore if you have too much chocolate and nuts. Not because chocolate's bad for you. Chocolate is amazing for you. Nuts are amazing for you. Obviously not loaded with sugar, but chocolate in general is good for you. But the thing is, arginine, which, yes, it's needed for the body, but it's also needed for viruses. So what could you do to avoid duration of common cold, or avoid maybe getting a common cold in high times? One, I would say maybe limit chocolate and nuts, especially if you do have a common cold at the time. Avoid chocolate and nuts, but also lysine. Lysine is no respecter of viruses. Bill Sawyer talked about it quite often for the coronavirus that we've been hearing about recent times, but lysine inhibits viral replication within the body. So yes, if you want to inhibit the virus from continuing to replicate within your body, lysine, 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams per day. If you're an adult, I would say 500 to 1,000 milligrams. If you're a child, maybe 250 milligrams to 500 milligrams. That usually relative, you want to do half the dose. So adults, 500 to 1,000. For children, for maybe 15, 16, 8, 17, 18, 250 to 500. Maybe if you're younger, maybe 100 milligrams. But it inhibits viral replication within the body. It's astounding for that. So common colds, zinc and lysine, tremendous for that, and also any viral infection for that matter as well.
To be simply so many milligrams per 100 pounds. And you figure out for yourself how much you need. If a child weighs 50 pounds, you need, this much. Weight 50 pounds, you need more. Obviously, you got a bigger body but they always say for adults and children. I think I taught math for years. I wish people would learn more math. It would be simple to figure out exactly what you need. Anyway, what are some common calls you've been taking, brother, about sickness? What are people getting? I send a lot of people to you.
Yeah.
And if you put this number back up there, would you, Joseph? Let's see. Number if you want to get a hold of Patrick. Billy, can you put his number back up? Or you got to do something? There you go. Okay.
There we go.
There. If you have a health issue, call Patrick. I got plenty to do on creation evolution. I can't handle everything. So thank you, brother, for taking over Bill's ministry. He had a great. I called Bill all the time. He was one of our trustees. Bill, I got this problem. What do I do? He'd tell me, and it worked every time. Just do what he says, okay? So what are some common problems you're getting calls about now besides cancer?
Absolutely. I'm getting calls probably from the whole alphabet, honestly, of ailments and diseases here and illnesses. One frequent one I'm getting all sorts of things, but I have gotten diabetes, and I would like to actually talk about that because that is very prevalent and it's increasing to be more. It's getting more common. It seemingly day by day within the United States. Diabetes is on the rise and it continues to be just huge increase. So a couple things for diabetes I would like to actually discuss. And one main thing is that if you're not going to take anything else for diabetes, if you don't choose to take any supplement, take this one thing if you have diabetes, and it's vitamin B1. It's called in the form of benfotiamine. You need to take this if you have diabetes. So what vitamin B1 does is it will prevent your chances of getting the majority of ill effects from your diabetes. Retinopathy, neuropathy, all the nerve damage that's going on in your body, all the blood vessel damage that's going on in your body from diabetes. Now, I'm not saying anything to do with sugar per se, but just the nerve and blood vessel damage could be greatly mitigated with vitamin B1. Those Sardi would recommend this first and foremost every single time for diabetes, and it's phenomenal. Vitamin B1 as benfotiamine. You want to make sure it's that exact form. Don't get the thiamine. Thiamine is great, but it's water soluble. It washes right out of your body. Benfotiamine, it's fat soluble. It lasts a whole lot longer. It's more effective. If you have diabetes type 1 or type 2, please start taking benfotiamine. It's wonderful. It will get rid of your retinopathy, or at least prevent it greatly. It'll really prevent your neuropathy, all the nerve damage. It's just wonderful. A
All right.
couple. It's just that if there's one supplement, vitamin B1, benfotiamine.
Okay. Diabetes, cancer. What else do you get? Heart attack, strokes.
Heart attacks. So heart attacks is another one on my actually slides. Heart attacks is I was going to discuss the first one here is sudden death heart attacks. There's three main heart attacks. For everyone listening, there's three main heart attacks. Sudden death heart attacks, blood clot heart attacks, and calcification heart attack. These are the main heart attacks that people will be getting all the time. I believe it is the first major leading cause of death in the United States right now, heart disease, which is this, specifically ischemic heart disease, which is blood clotting or restricted blood flow. And these could be prevented. They really could be. The first one could be, in my opinion, 100% prevented is the sudden death heart attack. For everyone who's concerned about getting a heart attack and just dropping dead, that's called a sudden death heart attack, and it's caused by an electrical storm. So what happens is you don't have enough minerals. That's literally what happens. You don't have enough specifically electrolytes. And your electrolytes are mainly magnesium, potassium, and sodium. So what you'll often see, for example, is sports players. They'll be running around all day, they'll be sweating profusely, and then they're just chugging water constantly, just downing a ton of water. And some of them will just die of a heart attack after doing this. Now, why are these healthy sports players just dying from just? Here's why: they're suffering from something called hyponatremia. They're sweating profusely. They're drinking a ton of water. They're depleting themselves of all their electrolytes, and they get a heart attack and die. A healthy individual. So, first thing is, if you want to avoid this, magnesium. That is the very first thing I'll say. Magnesium. That will avoid a sudden death heart attack. Or you could just get something called an electrolyte mix. It'll contain magnesium, potassium, and salt. But please take magnesium. It's needed for your heart to pump. You need this for your heart. So this magnesium supplement, it'll avoid sudden death heart attacks. And I believe this is the one heart attack that's actually totally preventable, is the sudden death. So the next one that everyone is concerned about and it's on the rise is a blood clot heart attack. This is where your blood literally clots up in your arteries, in your blood vessels, and you don't have any blood going to your heart or out, and you get a heart attack. Now, what this generally caused from is iron overload, but what I would recommend first off is vitamin C. Vitamin C is something you want to be taking for blood clot heart attack, and two reasons why is one, vitamin C thins your blood. It's a natural blood thinner. Vitamin C will thin your blood phenomenally. It won't over thin your blood. You don't have to worry about any of that. Aspirin over thins your blood, not vitamin C. So start taking vitamin C if you have concerns over this. Half teaspoon, maybe twice a day, 2 times a day. And this not only thins your blood to prevent a blood clot heart attack, but what it also does is lower something called, how I've discussed this before, lipoprotein A. It's a sticky blood protein. It tries to make repair work in your body, but it ends up sticking to your blood vessels and causing a clot. Now, vitamin C, believe it or not, actually will lower your or regulate your lipoprotein A. So you're not going to get this clot. So not only does it thin your blood, it regulates lipoprotein A so you won't get a clot in the first place, and it even strengthens your blood vessels so you don't need reparative work from this sick blood protein, lipoprotein A. So blood clot heart attacks, vitamin C, please take that. It's amazing to reduce your chances of blood clot heart attack. It's absolutely wonderful for many, many other things as well, increasing blood flow throughout the entire body. And you could also, as a side note, add resveratrol to that as well, another blood thinner and another lower of lipoprotein A. So resveratrol, vitamin C, both phenomenal for blood clot heart attacks, and they will help prevent your chances of getting one. The next heart attack that people get quite often, especially women, is a calcification heart attack. And what happens here pretty much is, yes, iron overload causes it, but during menopause, they're losing calcium from their bones. It's being dumped into their blood vessels, all in their arteries, and it stiffens them like a statue, and they get a calcification heart attack. So, for everyone listening, how could you prevent this? The supplement I was saying, just for cancer, IP6. IP6 is absolutely wonderful to prevent calcification heart attacks. IP6 and totally natural. You could do a 3-month cleanse if you're worried about it. Um, if anyone has concerns over possible calcification, you can call me. We can discuss your calcium arterial score. They do a little test called your calcium score. You can do it pretty much at any doctor, and this will pretty much tell you how much calcium buildup you have in your arteries. If anyone's concerned about this, or anyone wants to talk about this, you could call me. You could email me. I could review that calcium score. But if you're concerned at all, take IP6. It will chelate or bind to the excess calcium. It will not take calcium from your bones, just where it's not needed, and literally decalcify your blood vessels. Amazing for it. Absolutely amazing for it. And the last general type of heart attack that I like to discuss is just a general plaque heart attack. If anyone has any plaquing building up in their arteries, in their blood vessels, in their more so in their brain, more so in their heart, there's one supplement you really, really do want to start taking, and that's chondroitin sulfate. If anyone has a plaquing issue or arterial clogging, you want to take chondroitin sulfate and take it in ranges from 1,500 to 5,000 milligrams per day, and it's absolutely phenomenal to de-plaque or anti-plaque your artery. Amazing for it. Bill's already talked about it. I believe in animal studies there was a 60% reduction using chondroitin sulfate in plaquings. And I would say probably the best anti-plaque supplement there is, chondroitin sulfate, 1,500 to 5,000 milligrams per day. If you're really bad, 5,000 milligrams per day. But it is phenomenal for getting cholesterol plaque, for getting just any sorts of plaque out of your arteries.
All right. Somebody's sending in questions here. You got some there? Is baby aspirin bad or good?
So baby aspirin, or any aspirin for that matter, I usually don't recommend taking it. At least I would never recommend really taking it prophylactically, and that is as a preventative for any issues that you may be experiencing. If you do think you're about to get a heart attack, or if you're in the midst of a heart attack or a stroke, then you could take the aspirin. I don't shy away from saying take the aspirin at that point because it could help thin the blood. Now, and that could prevent any worsening of the heart attack or stroke, or get rid of the heart attack or possible stroke. Now, the problem with taking aspirin, any sort of aspirin, baby aspirin or regular, prophylactically, as in every single day, is it overthins your blood. Every time you take an aspirin tablet, you lose about a spoonful of blood in your body. Now, scripture says the life of the flesh is the blood supply. So I don't think you really want to be just constantly losing blood in our bodies, and that's what happens when we take aspirin tablet. And the other thing about aspirin is it depletes your vitamin C, greatly knocks down your vitamin C. There's something called Ray's syndrome when a child is sick, has an illness, has a fever. His vitamin C is totally knocked down, totally depleted, and when the first parent gives him an aspirin tablet, they pass away. And this is because you just robbed his body from the remaining vitamin C he had, and it's called Ray's syndrome. So I don't recommend taking aspirin every single day. I don't recommend taking it just as a preventative for something. If you do have a possible heart attack or a stroke at reach, take the aspirin. I don't shy away from saying it then. It could save your life in that instance. But every day you're going to take years off of your life because you are constantly, every aspirin tablet, you're just depleting the vitamin C out of your body.
All
So,
right. Somebody's asking, what about severe acid reflux?
yeah, acid reflux. Okay, so acid reflux is a big thing. And the thing is, you don't want to take any antacids. Please, please, if anyone is suffering with any acid reflux, do not take antacids. Please don't take it. The thing is, every time you have any acid reflux, they'll say Tums, antacid, take that. Now, here's the thing: our stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, is our first line of defense against pathogens, against bacteria. You need your stomach acid, and they notice people that take chronic antacids will experience higher rates of disease and infection. They will experience higher rates of stomach cancers by taking antacids. So, if you have acid reflux, please don't take antacids, which is usually what they prescribe. I actually recommend the opposite of antacids. You want to take an acid because what happens if you don't have enough acidity in your stomach, there's a valve. When your esophagus goes to your stomach, it goes through your diaphragm and it goes into your stomach. Now, right where it goes through your diaphragm, there's a valve there that opens and closes. And if your stomach isn't if it's not acidic enough, it does not close properly, and you're gonna get regurgitation of acid through your stomach. You're gonna acid reflux. You're gonna get GERDs. Don't take it. Don't take antacids for that. What you want to take is apple cider vinegar. You can buy it anywhere. You can buy it at Amazon, the grocery store. Take about a tablespoon, a teaspoon to a tablespoon with every single meal. 3 times every meal, take a teaspoon to a tablespoon in a big glass of water. This will reacidify your stomach. This will help break down your food, and this will avoid any acid reflux you might be having. Something else that you could take if you don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar, it is kind of an acquired taste, is something called betaine hydrochloride, betaine HCl. All it is an acid pill. It's totally natural. It'll help reacidify your stomach. It'll help you digest foods. It'll help you get rid of acid reflux. Now, something I do want to say too about something I do want to say too is when we age or get older, not even you're gonna lose acidity in your stomach to begin with. So you really do want to be taking apple cider vinegar if you have acid reflux or not, because as you age, you're not really extracting the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals that you're getting from your food because you're declining in stomach acid as you age. Not only that, but a lot of the population, I would say about 40% of everyone in America at this moment, has a pathogen in their stomach called H. pylori. It's very common. People know about it, Helicobacter pylori. But what Helicobacter pylori, H. pylori infection does is it limits your stomach acid. It literally starts to shut off your acid secreting cells. So what you want to do here is take apple cider vinegar, maybe a teaspoon once, twice a day, or with every meal, and you can start taking zinc carnosine. This is the number one thing I would recommend for any H. pylori and stomach acid lowering issues. Zinc carnosine. Not only does zinc carnosine help to naturally kill off H. pylori, so if anyone has any at all H. pylori symptoms, if they got tested for it, zinc carnosine will help naturally kill it off. And also, zinc is needed for hydrochloric acid, stomach acid production to begin with. So zinc carnosine, amazing for that. Um, Apple cider vinegar, amazing for acid reflux. These are the two things I would recommend. So apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon to a tablespoon with every single meal, and a tall glass of water, and just zinc carnosine. Both of these things will help acid reflux. Both of these things will help you absorb nutrients actually in your food.
All right. As you know, brother, I've done 339 debates now with atheists. Is there any kind of vitamin they can take to cure extreme stupidity for believing they came from a rock? What is the cure for the stupidity?
Unfortunately, that one has not been solved yet. If anyone finds out, you could definitely shoot me an email. But that's definitely a God thing. That takes Jesus, honestly, because and like you
Hammer.
said too, I'm so glad it's not contagious because we definitely get around it sometimes.
Okay. Maybe a ball peen hammer would help them. Okay. All right. And we want to help. Well, thank you, brother. Any more you want to cover tonight?
I think that's about it. If anyone does have any evolution type questions, I know Bill Kent Hovind likes to say he has a ministry to the dumb and the blind. So see Dr. Hovind for any questions regarding evolution. If there was any more things I'd like to discuss, there was a couple things, just common maladies, I guess, real quick to talk about that everyone deals with every single year. One thing I had in mind was allergies. Everyone has allergies to seasonal allergies, peanut allergies, you name it. And these could be not only prevented, but also, I would say, in the moment, what could you do for that? So, real quick, if anyone is dealing with allergies of any sorts at all, whether that's seasonal allergies or a specific allergy from a food, and you don't have anything on hand but natural supplements, here's two things you could do right away is one, vitamin C, take two huge heaping teaspoons in a full glass of water immediately. This is a massive antihistamine, will help totally with the allergic reaction, the histamine response you're experiencing. It doesn't matter. It's non-discriminatory too. Whatever the allergy is, two heaping teaspoons of vitamin C in a glass of water, and also quercetin, Quercetin. Quercetin. It's from the peels of red apples. It's from red onions, and this is nature's antihistamine. You don't always have to reach for the Benadryl if you have a little allergy. Vitamin C and quercetin. Take quercetin just as it's directed on the bottle when you have an allergy. Take vitamin C, two heaping teaspoons, and this will totally help to quell any allergies you're experiencing, whatever they may be. If it's bad enough, obviously you may need an EpiPen. If it's anaphylactic, you may need an EpiPen for that. I'm not saying don't take that. But for the mild allergy symptoms, allergic symptoms we experience every year, vitamin C and quercetin, absolutely phenomenal for both of them. Something else I wanted to just discuss real quick with the common lung ailments we see going around, whether that's RSV or pneumonia, bronchitis, tuberculosis, all sorts of different lung ailments. Two things you want to take mainly for a congestion like ailment of the lungs is NAC and inositol, both recommended quite often by Bill Sardi. NAC is a natural lung expectorant. It helps break up the mucus and dry it out you are experiencing in your lungs. Please, 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 please don't get on a ventilator. What happens is our lungs, when affected with the condition, when we have an illness, start to produce hyaluronic acid to help our lungs. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It helps them expand and contract properly. Wonderful. Now, the problem with the ventilators is there's a thrust to the oxygen. So you have this hyaluronic acid, it's a jelly like substance being all produced in your lungs, and when you get on the ventilator, it pushes this jelly like substance into your alveolar spaces in your lungs. And this is where your blood picks up oxygen. So now, if you get on a ventilator and you get all this hyaluronic acid, jelly like substance pressed into your alveolar spaces, your blood cannot pick up oxygen. So now you have deoxygenated blood going throughout your body. You're gonna get kidney failure because there's no oxygen going to that. You're gonna get heart failure because there's no oxygen going to their heart, and you're gonna get a stroke because there's no oxygen going to your stroke or your brain. So please don't get on a ventilator. It is a thrust. It's just done so much harm to so many people. This is probably one reason why Bill Sardi passed away. Take NAC. It's a natural lung expectorant. About 500 to 600 milligrams. They come in different pills, 500 and 600 milligram pills, 2 to 4 times a day. Amazing, amazing for your lungs. And also inositol. 500 milligrams, 2 to 4 times a day. It's a natural lung surfactant, breaks up the mucus in your lungs. A great, great treatment, or I can't really say treatment, but it's amazingly helpful for any lung conditions that they're talking about right now. We hear all these different lung conditions in the media, in the news. Take NAC, take inositol, both fabulous for your lungs. You don't need to rush for ventilation, intubation. Take these natural supplements that God provided us with, and they will help out tremendously with your ailments.
Okay, Patrick, is there a connection between the pharmaceutical companies who make these drugs and the medical schools? Do the big pharma, do they provide funding for medical schools? I mean, are they telling the doctors what works for the product? Is there a connection there?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Rockefeller, started taking over the universities in the early 1900s, and it slowly switched from naturopathy, natural supplements, to pharmaceuticals, pharmacological agents. There's a conflict of interest there. They're teaching drugs. They have about an hour, 2 hours worth of nutrition in their 8-year scholarship, and they're taught drugs. And the reason for that is because there's a total conflict of interest with the pharmaceutical companies that were started by Rockefeller and kind of Rockefeller. G. Edward Griffin talks a lot about this. Rockefeller sent his people to the universities to become board members and to observe if they're teaching enough about pharmaceuticals and drugs. And not only that, but don't fall for the sham of FDA approved either, because 40 to 45% of the FDA's income comes from the pharmaceutical companies. So of course they want to approve of their drugs and
Sure.
promote their drugs. They get their money from these manufacturers. It's a total conflict of interest. FDA approved doesn't really mean anything at all, because they get almost half of all their money from the same companies they are approving their products for. Of course, they want to approve their products. It makes no sense to believe really FDA approved. And the thing is, too, I quote this quote a lot, but G. Edward Griffin, the writer of World Without Cancer, said a control for cancer is known and it comes from nature, but it is not widely available to the public because it cannot be patented, and
Amen.
therefore is not commercially attractive to the pharmaceutical industries. And that's what it is.
Sad. They got a Cadillac to pay for, so they got to. Anyway, all right, brother, you've been a blessing. We'll see you next week. Get some stuff together on. If you have questions on your health, you say, "What do I do?"
Yes.
Call Patrick. There's his phone number and his email right
Yes.
there on the screen. Patrick, you're in Pennsylvania, so Eastern time zone. Think about that. It's 8:40 up there. But you've been a blessing, brother. When are you going to come down to Alabama and visit?
Hopefully early next year. That's our plan.
Okay, you're welcome anytime. Thank you, brother. See you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.